Hey, this is Stephanie.
And I'm Nina.
And you're listening to Live by the Spirit podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
What be up?
The sky.
Well, right now you're sealing.
My ceiling. For sure.
It's kind of chilly in your apartment.
I know. So this is what happens. So every single night before I go to bed, because I cannot sleep in a hot apartment, I like to be bundled up. That's how I sleep. I always sleep well. I bring my air conditioning down to 65 or like 66. And then normally when I wake up in the morning, I'm freezing. So I'll bring it up to like 73, which is what I keep, like between 73 75. That's what I've been keeping the apartment lately. And I was running with a chicken. I was running like a chicken with its head cut off this morning and forgot to do it. And I realized as I was walking into the apartment, I was like, oh, it is very chilly in here. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's still 65 degrees.
This is what my apartment feels like in the winter.
Yes, and I love it.
In the winter, I keep it at 65 because then it uses less heat.
Yeah.
And in the summer, I keep it at like closer to 75 because it uses less air. Mm-hmm. And people think I'm crazy for doing that. But if you think about it, the logic makes sense. If you keep it colder in the winter, it uses less heat. If you keep it hotter in the summer, it uses less air. And 75 always feels cooler when you're walking in from a 90-degree thousand day, you know?
I'm not going to lie. Honestly, I only have the heat on in my apartment during the wintertime when I am like
home.
Well, not even home, but like if I'm in the living room. When I'm going to bed, I'll turn it off. Because again, I can't sleep when it's hot. So
Well, yeah, that's why you keep it at 75. 75 is not hot.
I understand. But
that logic makes zero sense.
Yeah, but I will say there was one morning this last winter where I woke up and I looked at the thermostat and it said 40 degrees. And
you're going to freeze in the middle of the night if you do that.
That's a little extreme.
Well, that's why you just set it at like, even if you set it at like 60, it's not going to get warm in here.
Yeah.
If you set it at 65 now and you're freezing when you wake up, if you have it at 65 in the winter, you're going to be even more cold because it's colder outside.
Yeah. Anyways. Great transition.
Today, we're going to talk about something that we briefly touched on last week and that we said that we were going to dive into.
Yes. Because we were at that point already over.
It was like
our
50 minutes and we're like,
Yeah. We'll try to be somewhat short today. We just like to talk.
You really like to talk.
I love
a lot more than I do.
Talking's fun.
I get too worried about what I'm saying. So, like, I'll make myself anxious over what I'm saying if I'm thinking about it too much.
Oh, see, I have the opposite problem where I just talk without thinking. And then I'm like, oh, no, did I really just say that? Or it's like, oh, or it will make sense in my head what I am trying to say. But then I realize as I'm saying out loud, no one is understanding what I'm saying. I just experienced this with our friend Cameron. I was trying to explain to him that I was going to go to the store to pick some things up for our friend Donovan before a party that Donovan's throwing tonight, just to help him out. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but it did not make any sense at all. And so Cameron was looking at me and I was like, I'm going to the store. But anyways.
Yeah. You talk like a mile a minute. So sometimes it's like, because you're not thinking about it, it comes out like incorrectly. And it's not like it's like a bad thing. It just sometimes will need a little explanation.
My dad will literally be like, breathe, Stephanie, breathe. and it's so funny. A couple months ago, he's always said, I don't know where you get that from, because my mom wasn't a fast talker and he claims that he's not a fast talker. But then we got I think Kathy, my stepmom, and I got him on some topic about something. I don't remember what it was. It was either the Yankees or, I kid you not, the Roman Empire.
Not the Roman Empire.
But he was going a mile a minute, and then I looked at him, and he was like, now I see where you get it from.
Yeah, your dad, like, you more do that on, like, a day-to-day basis. He more does that when he's really, like... Really excited about something, or he's really passionate about... He does do that sometimes during End Times class, where he'll, like, talk so much that I'm like... Hold on. Let's go back to your first point, because I'm still there and you are way ahead of me.
Yes.
Which is hard to do when teaching because you are so familiar with the topic. And then when you're trying to share it with others, you think that they're going to pick it up right away because you already know what it is. Mm-hmm. And that's something I need to remember when I'm teaching things. It's like, these kids' brains work differently than mine because I'm already familiar with the topic. But if I'm just introducing it to them, they're not going to understand. So I need to think about it and talk slowly and really break it down, which is difficult to do, you know?
Well, anyways,
yeah,
we're talking about modesty today.
Modesty.
Which I think as a woman is such a fun topic.
Here, hold on.
And, did you have something you wanted to start with?
I'm going to read the definition of modesty.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So there's 3 different definitions, but in how we are talking about it, it's behavior, manner, or appearance intended to avoid impropriety. I hate that word, or indecency.
Yeah.
So, intending to avoid the indecency in how we act, behave, in our appearance.
Yeah, I think when the word modesty comes into my head, I kind of am taken back to when I was younger, and I feel like there was no middle ground. It was either you were extremely modest or you were extremely scandalous. I mean, I remember watching like the Duggars and thinking like this is what modesty is, but then I'd be watching TV and things like that, and like a Britney Spears music video would come on, and my mom would be like, this is not this is not what you need to be doing or supporting, type of thing. And so I grew up not really understanding that there could be a middle ground, because I think it's kind of hard to understand that as a child. And I feel like, and I would love to know your point of view too, because we're close in age, but you are a couple years younger than me. I feel like when I was in elementary school and in middle school, it was like having shorts that were down to your knee, like long t-shirts or polos. Like that's what was in style. Like
our style was like the long plaid shorts.
Yeah, like the late 2008 style.
Yeah, like the long plaid shorts.
We were coming out of the 2000 style, but this 2000 style was still there, type of thing. I never owned a pair of low-rise jeans because I was too young for that. But
I want to say the thing
baggier
is,
jeans for sure.
Jeans were so different because we were younger.
Yeah.
And so it was just like normal jeans. They were literally just jeans, and they were probably
like
low-rise. It just wasn't like defined as that because like the low-rise, high-rise, mid-rise, that wasn't a thing really until I want to say I got into high school. Yeah. High school was when I was like, oh, like high-rise jeans. And like I remember them being such a thing. And like people go back to low-rise now, and I cannot do it. Like high-rise sucks everything in. But it makes me feel secure.
I think it's more flattering.
Oh, I totally agree.
But anyways, my point being is I feel like now I'm online and I see girls who were, who are 11 and 12 dressing similar to me, like maybe even more so college me, of wearing shorter shorts, like crop tops, things that I definitely would not have been able to wear when I was that age. And it's just so interesting because I don't know if that's just how the style has changed over the last like 10, 20 years, or if modesty has become less and less over the last few years.
Well, then I would beg the question of, if it's okay for you to wear it, why is it not okay for them to wear it?
All great things.
So I feel like there's so many different layers to modesty. Obviously, like modesty just isn't just about what you wear, but it's also in how you act as well.
Yeah.
And so I think that like we touched a lot on the act of it last week, talking about being a godly woman and what it looks for us to act modestly in that way. But like talking strictly about what we wear in appearance wise, I think it's definitely interesting because like we've talked about this all the time. There are so many different things that like we can't wear that like our other friends could wear because
we're bigger,
because
in certain
different areas of everybody's body is different size.
Yeah.
So what looks modest on some person might look really immodest and inappropriate on me or on you. So I think a lot of it, we can't really define it to like, this is modest, this is not. I think it totally is dependent on what your body is.
I also, and again, this was brought up last week, but for me, I always, if I am questioning whether something's modest or not, then it probably isn't modest, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I'm wearing a top that's a little bit lower and like
You got some cleavage
I
out
got
there?
some cleavage on there, and I'm feeling like, is this appropriate to be wearing to a church event or to like this or that? Then it probably
Isn't appropriate.
appropriate. And it's kind of like what Nina was saying, where we can't necessarily wear, like, you know, we can have a friend who can wear that top and it looks super cute and super flattering and look modest, and she could wear it to church on Sunday. But then I go to do it and I look skimpy. And it's just what you said. We are all built so differently. And it's taken me a long time. And we had that episode not too long ago about body image. And it's still something that I struggle with, of having that jealous feeling of, that's such a cute top. I want to wear that top. But to me, I don't feel covered up in it, so I can't, and I get mad, and then it's like, oh well, do I need to lose weight, do I need to do this, do I need to do that? And it's
oftentimes that's not even the case. Oftentimes it's literally what we've been given, and that's what it is. And also, like, not even to like super long talk about that topic, but it's like we need to ultimately love the body that God has given us, and like not misuse it and mistreat it in the way that we so often do. But I think when it comes to like modesty, well, here, I'm going to read this verse first.
I would say 1 Timothy.
Yeah.
Like, was it for
1 Timothy
1, 8 through 10?
8 through 10. 2, 8
Look
through 10.
Look at me.
You were almost there.
I was almost there.
All right. So it says, I desire then that in every place, actually, I don't even need to read verse 8 because it strictly talks about men there. Yeah. But it says, likewise also that women should adorn themselves in respectable apparel with modesty and self-control, not with braided hair and gold or pearls or costly attire, but with what is proper for women who profess godliness with good works. So I think it, like, obviously, I feel like we've talked about it on here, but even if we haven't, a big topic recently has been godliness and like how we are able to be righteous and like how we can live a holy life. And so I feel like this is like one way that we can is like what is proper for us that then professes godliness. And, you know, how are we able to live modest and self-controlled lives in our apparel and what we are doing with ourselves, you know?
I really like in that verse, too, because that was the exact verse when I think of this topic, I think of that. It talks about, like, the fine jewels. And to me, in our day and age, I think of, like, designer stuff.
Yes.
And having the designer name on it. And it's so funny. I was watching a TikTok the other day, and it's like you can tell who comes from old money and who comes from new money, because new money, you're going to have, like, you're going to be wearing the Gucci top that says Gucci on it. But old money, you'll be wearing a top that may be made from Gucci, but you would have no idea.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying where to spend your money, because I think that designer stuff is nice and everything like that. But I feel like particularly over the last 10 years, it's why am I desiring to because I'll give an example. In college, I really wanted to get the Gucci belt because that was really in and it was super cute and all this stuff. And I obviously never got it because it's ridiculously expensive. But I was thinking about this the other day. Why did I want to spend like $300-$400 on a belt that I could have gotten a very similar belt, like $20 at Walmart or Target? It does the same thing. It holds your pants up. That's the point of a belt. And it's because, it's because of the label on it. And is that glorifying God?
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's trying to show yourself off in a sense.
It's like comparison. It's how we compare ourselves to other people, and it's like, well, this person has that, I want that. This celebrity has that, I want that, because I want to seem like I have this, or I want to look like that. I want what this person has. It's all comes down to like jealousy and comparison, is like, you know, and we need to like let go of that.
And I think, I have friends whose moms collect designer purses, and that's just, they worked hard for their money. And I think if that's something that you are passionate about and that you like, you do what you want to do. It's your money. But my heart behind wanting to get that Gucci belt was not because, I can afford that. That's cute. I like it. I'd wear it. It was, I want this so that way people will think that I'm rich and I can afford stuff like this. But in all actuality, I would have spent so, like, at the time I was
Especially
working retail, that would have been
especially as
like
a college student.
yeah, I was working retail, like that would have been like probably part-time. I probably would have been like a whole week's paycheck for a silly belt.
Yeah.
So that to me, I love that part about the fine jewels, because again, like you said, modesty is just so much more than, you know, dressing more covered and things like that. I think that's what I think of when I think of modesty, but I think in that regard too. So yeah, I think also, and sorry I'm talking a lot, please interject in this, we actually just had something happen to us where this happened, because, you know, I feel like nowadays the trend is really baggy clothes for girls, which I love. I'm in my big XL.
I'm actually in an XL t-shirt today.
I'm in my XL sweatshirt that is way too big for me. This would literally fit my dad. I love baggy clothes. Like, I'm in mom jeans, all that stuff. And again, I saw this other TikTok, and this actually happened to Nina and I on Friday night. But it was like, why do I get catcalled more often when I'm in my baggy clothes just running to the grocery store than I do when I'm in like a tight dress going out, you know, to dinner or something like that. And Nina and I, we were coming back to my apartment on Friday night
after we got Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
11:30 at night.
It was late at night, and we were quite literally, we were both in really big sweatpants, like sweatshirts and all this stuff.
I literally was wearing an oversized sweatshirt.
Same. And we had these guys like whistling at us, and like I forgot what exactly was said.
I think he just whistled and was like, "Yeah, girl."
Yeah, and I have it all in my ring. But it's like, I was thinking, like, to me, I thought I was in a pretty modest outfit.
Yeah.
And, you know,
well, there is something to be said, and they say this phrase, and I've never understood it, but I understand it more now that I've gotten older, and I would like to think I'm a little wiser as I was in college. But they do say modest is hottest, and like I actually fully believe in that statement, because think about, like, that's could be an example, but like also I think like the outfits that I want and like the outfits that I like on other people are always modest outfits. Like if I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see Zendaya in this like really scandalous dress that she's wearing that some designer made her to wear to like an award show, I'm not like, oh, I want that outfit. It's like, oh, if I see somebody I follow on Instagram and they're wearing this like cute dress and I'm like, oh, I like that. And there always seems to be, like the clothing that I like and that I see always seems to be modest.
Ooh, sorry if you heard that.
I hope that did not. It was a notification on the computer.
Well, and I would beg a question for you.
Yeah.
I know the answer for me. How has that changed for you to get to this answer the closer you've gotten to God?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I would say 100% for me.
Yeah, and I think that even because I mean, then we could also dive into like what we think is appropriate and modest, because I could think of like a few things. Like I have a few crop tops.
Nina loves a good crop top.
I do love a good crop top. I'm in my crop top phase, as you said yesterday. You're in your cropped phase.
Goodwill, and she was like, "Do you like this?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "What about if we crop it?"
Well, also it was not good on. I tried it on and it just was not good. But it's not in like when I wear a crop top, if there's too much space in between where my pants lie and where my shirt lies, I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, same.
So it's like there needs to be a line for me personally. Because then it's like, okay, am I wearing a bathing suit or am I wearing a t-shirt? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel that. I'm like, it's so funny. I've always made this comment. It's like, I feel like Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has never showed her belly button. I don't. This is so random.
What?
She's always in high-waisted pants. That's what I'm trying to say. And I've always felt that same way, because we talked about this in the self-image episode, but I've always been more toned in my upper abs. My lower abs is where.
Well, you also have gut problems,
and I have gut problems, which is
you
why
tend to bloat more often.
Yeah. So for me,
which I don't notice, but she notices a lot,
because we notice our own bodies.
Yes, we do.
But for me, wearing high-waisted stuff and covering my belly button is great, because then it's like I get to show off the area that is toned versus the area that I might be bloated, because I do have digestional issues. But I think, that's now again, if you're all the way up to your under boob, then that's
Yeah.
another story. But the way Nina styles her crop tops, I've always thought was modest. I've never
Mhm.
looked at Nina and be like, that's a little short.
The good, like, always a good test for me is if I feel comfortable wearing it around my dad or my
Yeah.
brothers, then I feel like if I walk out of out of my room and Jonah's in the living room, and if I feel uncomfortable in front of him in what I'm wearing, then I should not wear it.
Yeah.
That's a good test for me. But also, like, I don't think I would ever let it get to that point where I feel uncomfortable, because I know, like, what looks good on my body and also, like, what is necessarily appropriate.
Yeah. For me, kind of going back to what we were talking about a little bit ago about how my style has changed the closer I've gotten to God.
Yes.
I mean, I can think of high school me. I was in very short shorts with like booty cheeks hanging out. My sister, I remember, I'll never forget, we went to Disney World one time, and I guess I bent down to pick my youngest niece up, and my sister pulled me aside, and she's like, you cannot wear these shorts the rest of the trip. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, Stephanie, your butt is out. And to me, I was like, these are perfectly fine. And then I look back at photos from that trip, and I'm like, those shorts were so short. How did my father let me out of our hotel room with that? But and it's just, you know, and I think, you know, part of that's also getting older. But you're right. Like, we were making jokes about this yesterday, but it's like, I like our Christian girl like lookbook, or like, I like the having the higher waist mom jeans, or even like the black skinny jean look with a baggy t-shirt, or like a cute sweater. Like, if you look up Christian girl aesthetic on Pinterest, like, that to me is the style I want to have nowadays. And and we make jokes about it, like, oh, it's just like stereotypical Christian girl type, you know, type of outfit, but it's so cute. But we're covering the areas we need to cover, and we're still looking cute, and kind of going off, we're not showing off labels and stuff like that. Half the things I can get from, I know Shein can be controversial, but I can get like so much from Shein for the same price I could have gotten for that Gucci belt.
Yeah, and it's also like you were saying, like, how I dress the closer I've gotten to God. I think the one thing being, like, when I mean, and even my life being changed so much in the last year and a half that I've been here, I think that, like, when I first moved, it's easy to, like, want to dress a certain way so people will notice you. But also, I don't like to be noticed, so I don't know why I thought this way. Hold on, I think I need to sneeze.
The amount of times this has happened to me today where someone's thought they need to sneeze and then they don't. That's the third time it's happened.
All right, I'm not going to sneeze. But
it's the third time that's happened today.
It's like, in what I wear, like, now, as opposed to what I felt I would have needed to wear, is so different and so changed. Like, majority of the time, how I'm dressed now is how I dress, in a big t-shirt with jeans in my Converse.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's not because you're self-conscious.
No, it's
not because I hear that a lot of girls who are self-conscious of their bodies wanting to wear baggier stuff, and it's not because of that.
It's literally just because you know, who cares what I wear? That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to keep up an appearance with anybody. Like, I'm here to glorify God, and that's what I'm supposed to do with my life. Why do I need to be dressing how I think other people would like me to be dressed?
Yeah, and I think that's a good, I think that's a good rule of thumb. No matter what, you dress how you want to dress, not to dress for others, or not how others want you to dress. You need to feel comfortable in your own skin and figure out who you are. But obviously, you know, that I can say that and be like, oh, well, I think these really short shorts are what I want to wear, you know, type of thing. But for me, it's kind of funny because I've always loved clothes. I grew up going to a private Christian school, and so I always had a uniform. And so I never really got to experiment with clothes and try different stuff because I never needed a ton of clothes because I was in a uniform all day. And when I wasn't in a uniform, I was going to dance class. So I was in my dance clothes. And so basically I was just like, it was so funny. I told my dad after I graduated high school, I was like, I think I need to go clothes shopping. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, you don't need more clothes. And I was like, I showed him my closet. I was like, literally all I have clothes wise are a ton of t-shirts and a few pairs of Nike shorts, running shorts. And he was like, oh yeah, we should probably take you shopping. because it was just like I didn't have any clothes. And so ever since college started, I've had a lot of fun kind of figuring out what style I like and what clothes I like to wear. So I like expressing myself through clothes. But for me, again, it's not that I'm trying to impress anybody. It's me wanting to feel comfortable in what I'm wearing and looking, you know, what I feel like. I want to look presentable and I want to look cute and stuff like that. But that's taken me a long time, because when that first happened, it's like, well, I want to look cute so and so will notice me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you know, there's a scene in a show where it's not an appropriate show, so I'm not going to bring it up, and I'm not going to watch it because I started watching it before I got close with God. But there's a scene where I guess I can say it's Euphoria, but I'm not going to watch that show anymore. I just don't think it's appropriate with my Christian lifestyle. But there's a scene in season 2 where this girl, Cassie, she's trying to get a guy to notice her. And so she wakes up at like 5 a.m. every single morning for school to do a whole skincare routine, whole shower routine. And she tries all these different looks to get this guy to notice her. And it finally was when she dressed like his ex-girlfriend that he noticed her. And that to me is a prime example of what not to do. And this is not just for ladies. I want the guys to hear this too, because I know a lot of guys who've changed their style for girls to get girls' attention. You dress how you want to dress. If you do not like jeans, do not wear jeans.
My brother.
Literally Jonah. And so I had a friend in college. It was right before school, like my freshman year. He had never owned a pair of jeans, and he asked me, he's like, will you go to Marshall's with me? I was like, why? He's like, because back then at my university, the guys couldn't wear shorts, or I guess none of us could wear shorts. So us girls, when it was hot out, we could wear dresses or skirts, but guys they could only wear pants. And so he was like, I guess I gotta go buy jeans, because the only pair of pants I have are sweatpants and a couple pairs of khakis. So I always think of Jonah, because I know for a fact Jonah does not like jeans.
Yeah, the only pair of jeans he owns is a pair of jeggings that he bought for Jude's party.
Yeah.
But yeah, another verse that I think about when thinking about this topic is 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20. In this context of this verse, it is talking about sexual immorality, but I feel like that ties in so well when talking about modesty. It says, do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. And I think that something that is to be said about modesty is when we are revealing too much of our body, like that is something to be saved for marriage and for sex with your spouse in marriage. Like that part of your body is supposed to be saved for that. So it's like if we continue to take off more and more and more, it's like, one, you don't want to cause a brother to stumble. You know, that's never something that we want to do, because we're called to keep others from stumbling, and God is able to help us keep us from stumbling. So it's like the last thing we want is to make somebody else, you know, stumble in any sort of way, depending on what they struggle with. You don't know what everybody struggles with. But also too, you want to make sure that, you know, you're not having, like, how do I put this in a way that's not, you don't want people to view you as a sex object based on how you're dressing.
Yeah.
Like point blank, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a good word of it. Because it sucks, because I mean, I can think of like actresses like Marilyn Monroe. I grew up watching Marilyn Monroe in movies before I ever knew that she was considered a quote unquote sex object. Yeah. So for me, the reason why I've always liked her was because I grew up watching her in How to Marry a Millionaire, or There's No Business Like Show Business, and I loved her so much. And then I got older and realized it was like, oh, she's viewed as a sex object for men. Yeah. Or I guess for anybody, but and that's the thing that sucks, is because I felt like I knew her in a different way and I looked up to her in a lot of ways, and it almost took away from that. And so, is it Be Real Time?
Yes, it is.
It is Be Real Time. This happens every time we record. I'm so sorry, guys. Maybe you're listening to this and your Be Real just went off for your Monday.
What?
Did it not post? I feel so bad. they're just listening to us taking our B-reels. But anyways, I agree with you. I think it is very important that we portray ourselves in a good way, and I think that's, the overall message of modesty is, and this is my point. I just got it. Thank you, Jesus, for giving this to me. I want to be known as the girl who loves Jesus, not the girl who wears skimpy clothes.
Yes.
I want to be, I'm going to rephrase this. I want to be known for the girl who has Jesus in her heart, not known for the things that she wears.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus. That's exactly and I think that's the whole point of this episode is you need to dress. I guess my thing is if we're thinking about how we dress, how we talk, what we do, think before you do it and ask yourself, would Jesus do this if he was down here?
Yeah.
And obviously Jesus was a male, but it's like, would Jesus wear this outfit? Would Jesus say this sentence? Would, Jesus do this action? If the answer is no, then why are we wanting to do it?
Yeah. And I think that going along with that point, talking about holiness, that is what holiness looks like, is trying to make sure that the best that we can with the time that we have, that we are exemplifying Jesus in a way that leads others to him. And I think a verse, and I shared this, I don't remember if it was last week, I think it was, and Jude shared it when he was on the podcast. 2 Corinthians 7:1 says that we need to cleanse ourselves from everything that defiles body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God. So it's like, with the time that we have, we are supposed to do our very, very, very best to be, doing our best to present ourselves as worthy of the manner that we have been called to, as it says in, Ephesians 4:1 and 2 Timothy 2:15. Like, we are supposed to be walking in a way that exemplifies Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's like every day, that's what we should be called to do, not like dressing in a way that makes other people like us. Like, no. We live for God. We don't live for man.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. This is like another thing. I want to be looked up to. Like, it's the biggest compliment when a child or somebody says something like, you're my hero, or I want to be like you when I grow up. But I want them, if that ever happens, and I believe and I hope that one day I'll have children and that they'll look up to me. I don't want them to quote unquote what they think of me, think of how I dressed or how I talked or different things in a negative way. I want them to view it as a godly thing. Like, wow, my mom was such a woman of Christ. Like, even the clothes she wore made her godly. The sentences she said were godly. When I have someone tell me that they look up to me, I want that to be the reason, not the other stuff. And I think that is so important for us to strive for. And I talked about it. I don't remember if it was the celebrity episode. Wow, we've recorded a lot of episodes. My brains are like, what? But one of my favorite, I love Selena Gomez so much. I think she's awesome. But she said in her documentary, she's like, I didn't choose to be a role model, but I am a role model. So I have to live every day like I'm going to be a role model. And she said, and now I want to be a role model for my little sister. And so I want to make sure that I'm doing things that she's going to look up to in a positive way, in a good way, or not lead her astray. Yeah. And she means worldly things, sadly, even though I do think Selena's a Christian. But that's the sentence I think of when I'm like, okay, I want people to look up to me because of the godly actions that I take and not because of anything else.
Well, even thinking a step further, the society that we live in, unfortunately, is so sex driven. Like, it is so true. Like, think about it. I can name the movies that come out nowadays.
And the books.
It is very, very, very
shows.
difficult to find a book, a TV show, or a movie that does not have sex in it. I was talking to our friend Olivia about, like, adult romance novels are literally porn.
Now, yeah.
It is. And it's like, when I go to a store, I don't want to be, if I want to read a romance novel, I don't want to read what happens in the bedroom. Like, I don't. Yeah. I don't want to see it in my shows. Like, that's not how I want to live my life. And unfortunately, in Hollywood, that's what sells. Sex sells. So unfortunately, that is how celebrities dress. Celebrities dress to sell because sex sells. So that's
Yeah.
why a lot of them dress the way that they do. And designers will design clothes like that because they know the attention that it gets them, the attention that it gets the celebrity, the attention it brings to the movies or the shows that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, just because that's how people worldly dress, that does not mean that's how we as godly people should be dressing. As godly people, we should be exemplifying, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
God as much as we can in the time that we're here on earth. So it's like, in that time, how can I exemplify God with how I dress? You know,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be to sell my body to get other people to believe in Christ, because that's not how that works.
Yeah.
We should be selling, this is who God is, and this is what he's done for me, to then bring people in. It should not be the latter. No,
yeah. It
the
really
latter
does.
means the second thing I said. It should not be the first thing I said.
Yeah. It really does suck, because I feel like I can't watch anything nowadays.
It
Or
sucks.
I'll have a friend recommend a book, and I'll be halfway
Mhm.
in the book, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oop, I gotta skip through these pages. And y'all, I read audiobooks because I'm dyslexic, and let me tell you, those are always fun to get to with those scenes. I have to and then you're like skipping through them, and you're like, because again, does it give anything to the plot in any of these? No, you can skip through those pages and be fine and not have missed a beat.
Literally.
Like, that's, I hate unnecessarily. This is just something.
Unnecessary sex in movies and
Well,
shows and books.
that, but I hate things that take away from the plot and
Yes.
anything. That's why I'm not. No offense, I'm not a big Napoleon Dynamite fan. That movie has no plot until like the last.
I
30
did not
minutes.
like that movie.
Until the
it
last,
was way overrated.
Yeah, until the last 30 minutes of the movie, I did not enjoy it. There's no plot. There's no substance. So I hate watching things and then there be like a side story that has nothing to do with the overall plot. Like, if you could take it out of the story and the story still goes really well and you didn't miss anything, then to me it shouldn't be in projects. So that's obviously another reason why I don't like it, but the main reason is that what sucks is I really started getting into the Tudors history, and so I started watching the Tudor show, and I didn't realize that was a Showtime show, so there is a ton of nudity in it, and it's like, why? This has nothing. This takes away. There was a scene that to me I thought would have been so beautifully done if Homegirl wasn't naked. But one of the I believe it was his fourth. Yes, it was his fourth wife. I can't remember her name right now, but it was the second one that got beheaded. I have to like sing the 6th song. Divorced, beheaded, died. Catherine. No. That's
It doesn't matter.
Anyways, but in history, it is said that she asked the jailer to bring like the stump so she could practice setting her head down for when she gets beheaded.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so sad, but like that really happened. And they had her do this scene and she was naked. And I'm like, what the? I was like, this was to me
Is
such
it
an
history that she was naked? Like,
no,
I don't get.
they
then why?
they just did it to do it, and
It's so stupid.
and to me it was so stupid because I thought that if she would have been in clothes, it would have been so beautiful. It was such a tragic scene because she's practicing how to prep herself for death.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and to me it's, I don't know, I can't watch stuff like that anymore. It just, I don't know, but
It's just so stupid.
it is so, it's sad, and it makes me feel like I'm going to have to be super hyper aware of what my kids are watching, because now it's like in kid shows, like Euphoria is technically marketed for teenagers because it's based
ridiculous.
It's based on high school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, if my parents would have catched me watching that show when I was in high school, I would have gotten beheaded.
Well, I had heard good things about this show, and I asked one of my friends about it. I was like, oh, do you think I should watch it? She goes, in the first episode, there was this, and this. I said, yeah, never mind. I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, I have no interest in watching a show that has that kind of contents to it. That's why it's like, there are certain shows that I personally enjoy, and if people want a recommendation list, I'd be more than happy to give it to you out of shows that are actually good, have good content to them. Like, Boy Meets World.
Anne with an E.
Anne with an E is a great show. You know, like, you could
So
go on,
wholesome.
like, Boy Meets World is like
It's
the
so good.
only show I have ever watched that continues to teach life lessons, but is also super fun to watch and is family friendly.
Yeah.
It's like they don't make shows like that anymore. Shows, as I just dropped my mic.
She's so
Shows used to
passionate.
be, I know, it used to be so wholesome. Like, our culture never used to be this way, and it's so sad over like the last 15 years how bad our culture has gotten, and like how this is the times that we grow up in. It's like, do I really want to have kids and bring them into all this? Not really. Yes, I want kids that much though. Like, you know what I mean?
We're just gonna have to be overly, like, we're sadly gonna have to be what I never wanted to be, which is a helicopter parent.
Okay, but also the difference between a like helicopter parent and what we're talking about is very different, because we're trying to protect our kids from what could possibly be negatively impacting them, rather than a helicopter parent is someone who is over parenting to the point where they literally have to do everything for their child. Like, that's not how we're trying to be. We're trying to protect our children from what is going on in this world, and how that we can best, you know, help them along without getting them involved in this literal sex culture.
Yeah, no, it's sad.
Sorry to go off on a whole rant about that.
No, but I will say, one of the books that I read way back in like 2011, 2012 that made me fall in love with reading recently just came out with the movie version of the book. And I was so happy because it didn't have any of that. And it was just such a wholesome rom-com. And they don't make movies, and
they don't make movies like that anymore.
It was like I reread the book because it's a really quick read. The book is called The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight, but the book was called Love at First Sight.
The movie was called Love at First Sight.
Yes, so if it's a really quick read, so if you want to read it before, do it. You can read it like literally within 3 hours. That's what I did. But I reread it, and I remember thinking to myself, it's like, wow, this, like, compared to the books I read now, this is so wholesome. And then we watched the movie because Nina had never heard anything about it before. Then we watched the movie on Friday, and I remember it takes a lot for me to be like, I want to rewatch that movie immediately, and that's both how we felt.
Well, you're both like, what if we watched it again?
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, there might have been a couple language drops here and there,
but really not anything terrible at all.
No,
and I was very shocked. I was a little worried that they were going to try to slip something in there.
Same,
but they didn't, and I was very like pleasantly surprised by that.
So, and it's like, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, we don't get those cute, like, my favorite kind of movies are those early or like those mid 2000 rom-coms. Like, think Amanda Bynes, all like She's the Man, what's the other, What a Girl Wants, like things like I love those movies, and it sucks they don't make rom-coms like that anymore because there's always freaking sex in it,
literally,
and it's just like, I don't need to know that. That's not the main part of the relationship. And so anyways, we got off on a tangent.
Yes.
So, but I think you guys got our basic thing. Modesty is so much more than what you wear. It's also what you say, your actions.
Yes, it is.
And I think our overall thing was, at least for me, is if Jesus wouldn't do it, then I shouldn't want to do it. I shouldn't strive for that lifestyle. I should strive to be just as much as Jesus as I can be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, yeah. That was good.
Do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Yay.
That was really good. I feel good about that.
I do too. That's complimenting. This is what we do after we get done recording.
Sometimes I'm like,
wasn't too.
I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah.
I also didn't go in with anything prepared, so I'm really glad that the conversation flowed like that.
I forgot what I said, but there was something the Lord gave me that I was like, wow, this is powerful. We'll go back and find it. This is when I said, thank you, Jesus, for that.
But anyways,
we're just so thankful that you guys have decided to take another Monday or whatever day that you're listening to this and listen to it.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week
Monday
with something
else that we probably don't know yet.
Probably, but it's all good.
We always come up with something. The Lord always places something on one of us.
Yep. Yeah. And possibly here soon, I would, if you don't follow us on the Instagrams, please follow us on the Instagrams, because we might be having some form of giveaway coming up within the next month or two. So you don't want to miss that. We want to make sure that you see that.
At Live by the Spirit podcast, you could also find Stephanie at Stephanie Graydon. You can find me at Nina Trank. Isn't that so convenient that both of our Instagrams are like that?
Mine used to not be. Mine used to be Forever Teffy, and I changed it.
Mine used to be Nina _Trank 13, and it's just Nina Trank now.
Yeah.
Because I made my Instagram when I was 13.
Oh, mine was
That's why it
forever
was like that.
Teffy. Now
But
I'm
anyways.
back to Stephanie. Anyways, we'll see you next week.
Peace
Bye.
and blessings. That was aggressive. I'm so sorry.
Nap time.
For you, not for me. Cookie time.